Reading from 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. But sanctify the Lord in your hearts, and always be ready to give a defense to everyone who asks you a reason for the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear.
Good morning, everyone. Who enjoyed camp? Yeah? Good fun? It was good, wasn't it? There was a lot of people there. I don't think I'm getting any older, but I know a lot more people every year. I don't know why that is. Welcome along today. My name's Craig Goodhill. I know a few people here, not many, but it's lovely to see you. I worked for the government for 30 years. I'm a retired firefighter. And now I get to have a bit of fun. We get to tour around and see different churches, which is very nice, always nice. Sabbath school was sensational. I'm sorry, the lady, Sister Melissa, is she in here? Very nice, good job. Sabbath school is always nice when everyone exchanges ideas. But a little while ago, I was very blessed. I did a course. Now, the course lasted for 13 weeks. And what it did was had 12 guys. We dressed up in nice, thick cotton overalls in the middle of summer. We wore those beautiful big steel-cap boots, and we ran everywhere. And one of the, you ever done team-building exercises? Do you like those? I think they're a bit boring. But anyway, this team-building exercise, so what we did is we all lined up, and the instructors were always good. They were always telling us encouraging words, usually yelling at us, but encouraging words, you know. So we went over, lined up in front of this trailer. Said, righto, what we need to do is get this trailer to the top of that sand dune because there's a mechanic up there and he needs to fix it. And we're going, the trailer looks all right. Went around the other side and there was one wheel missing. We're going, oh, okay, so how are we going to do this? He said, look, you haven't got time to talk, just get it up there. We're waiting for the mechanic. He's waiting for you. So we had 12 guys, so we got 6 on one side, 6 on the other. And you walk up the sand dunes. You remember the sand dunes? You'd sink up to your ankles at least. Anyway, we got to we picked it up and we swapped around and we carried it up the top, but we got there and it's summer. Our overalls are saturated, we can hardly move, we're puffing and panting. And this was when I was fit, so that was all right. But we got up there and the instructors were just, they yelled words of encouragement again. You're so late, the mechanic's gone. You have to get the trailer back down the bottom, he's waiting down the bottom for you. We were exhausted. This is welcome in, first day in. So we carry this trailer down the bottom and the instructors were very gentle to us. You missed the mechanic again. Everyone down and give me 20 push-ups. This went on about 7 or 8 times. Each time you try to pick this trailer up a different way. So you would start thinking outside the box. So you start thinking outside the box and trying to work out how you could get this trailer to the top. One night we actually were going to go in there and put the studs back in and put the wheel on and walk it up. They had dogs in the yards, so you couldn't actually get in to do it, so they knew what was coming. We got 2 bamboo poles. We picked the trailer up, carried up. It was a 6x4 trailer made out of steel, so it's heavy work. We got it to the top. Wouldn't believe it, we missed the mechanic again. Now, how that happens, we got to the bottom and he had already gone home. 6, 7 or 8 times we were trying to do this. We got some wire and twitched the wheel on. We're trying every way we can. At the end of it, it was just team building. It was just working together. And we tried to think outside the box to get this together so that we could get it up there quickly so I didn't have to sweat. I don't try not to sweat too often, but you're a young bloke, you sweat a little bit. So we missed. Mechanic never fixed it. I've never been back to see if the wheel got put back on, but when I finished the course, I really didn't care too much about it. Today, we're going to cover a bit of a subject that young lady was sensational. Who liked the way she read it? 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. Always be prepared to give an answer for your beliefs. So you ready? When I first started coming to church, a little old man, old lady said to me, you know, this is the only place you'll come to. You'll come to church. The guy at the front's going to give you a smashing. He's going to tell you all the things you do wrong. You're going to walk out of there and you're going to go, thank you very much, have a great day. Today is going to be very easy because you know what? All you Christians, yeah? You're all here because you love God. You're all legalists. You are all legalists. You know why? Because come over to, you're going to need your Bibles, guys, and we're going to do a fair bit of it. So come over to Colossians chapter 2. Colossians chapter 2, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. Yeah, it's just before the T's. Have you noticed God is good? He put all the T's, Timothy, Thessalonians, Titus, all in alphabetical order. Colossians chapter 2 and verse 14. Colossians 2 verse 14. Because you Adventists are so legalistic, this says here, blotting out the handwriting in Colossians 2 verse 14. Blotting out the handwriting of the ordinance was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross. So when Jesus was nailed to the cross, the 10 Commandments were nailed to the cross. I don't have to keep them anymore. You people go to Sabbath for no reason at all. That's a good point. But that's where we go back to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. Always be prepared to give an answer for your beliefs with meekness. Don't lord it over anyone. We're blessed by God bringing us into this church. So we talk about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss, because what happens is the Bible talks about two sets of laws. There's two sets of laws. There's a ceremonial law, and then there's the 10 Commandments, the moral law, the Decalogue, the law of liberty. So there's two laws, ceremonial law and moral law. We're going to talk about the difference, and we're going to talk about that verse in itself in Colossians 2, 14, where it was nailed to the cross. Come over to, just give me a sec, we'll just do this. Who spoke the law? In Exodus 20, verse 1. Come over to Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. Now, what do we find in Exodus 20? And what do we find in Deuteronomy chapter 5? I'll give you a hint, it's the same thing. 10 Commandments. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. Who spoke the law? And God spoke all these words, saying, remember that, that's really important. God spoke it. Come to verse 22. Oops, I've clicked on. Verse 22. And the Lord said unto Moses, who spoke to Moses? God. God said in Exodus 20, verse 1, and God spoke all these words and then gave him the 10 Commandments. Come over to Exodus 24, a little bit further. Let's find out about the ceremonial laws. Remember, 24 verse 3 we're going to talk to. Exodus 24 verse 3. So, Exodus chapter 20 verse 1, and God spoke all these things. Exodus 24, sorry guys, you have a bit of trouble. Go to Exodus 24 and verse 3. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord. Who spoke in Exodus 20 verse 1? Who spoke in Exodus 24 verse 3? Moses. Do you see the difference? When these guys, you're doing good, you guys. So when we get there, so spoken by God with the 10 Commandments, spoken by Moses, ceremonial law. But that's not the only difference. Come over to, we're nearly written. Come over to Exodus 31. There you go, beautiful. Well done, boys. Exodus 31 and verse 18. Exodus 20 verse 1, and God spoke these words. 24 verse 3, Moses spoke. Who wrote it? Exodus 32, 31 verse 18. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone written with the... So who gave it to Moses? God. God wrote them. God spoke them. God wrote them. The ceremonial law. Come over to Deuteronomy. And did you know something? This is really interesting. It's just a side issue because you get a glimpse into where my brain goes. Deuteronomy in Indonesian means repeat. So when you read Deuteronomy, it's repeating everything that Moses has written in the first 4 books. Deuteronomy chapter 31 and verse 9. One more, gents. Deuteronomy 31 verse 9. So, who wrote the Ten Commandments? Who wrote in Deuteronomy 31 verse 9? The ceremonial law. And Moses wrote this law. So when someone says to you, and that's enough, isn't it? Doesn't it say in the Bible, wherever there's 2 or 3 witnesses, you need 2 or 3 witnesses. Where Jesus says, wherever there are 2 or 3 together, the Holy Spirit is. 2 or 3 seems to be it. So we've got 2 verses now that tell us God spoke it, God wrote it. Moses spoke it, Moses wrote it. Very interesting, isn't it? But we want more. Where are we now? Oh, nearly. So, God spoke it, God wrote it. Moses spoke it, Moses wrote it. Always technology, isn't it? Come over to Exodus chapter 31. We're going to do a fair bit of flicking around. So, Exodus 31, we're going to find out who it was given by. So, this is the 10 Commandments, Exodus 31. And verse 12, 17 and 18. So Exodus 31, verse 12. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, and then we want to go to 17 and 18. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. And he gave it to Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tablets of the testimony of tablets of stone written with the finger of God. Who gave it to Moses? Testimony, the 10 Commandments, the Decalogue, the Statue of Liberty, spoken by God, written by God, given by God. Ceremonial law, spoken by Moses, written by Moses, given by Moses. Yeah? Making sense so far? Haven't lost anyone? Beautiful. Let's have a look at the ceremonial law. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 24 and 25. So what was Deuteronomy in Indonesian again? Repeat. Deuteronomy 31, verse 24 and 25. Deuteronomy 31, verse 24 and 25. And it was given by. And it came to pass when Moses had made an end of the writing the words of this law in the book, and they were finished, that Moses commanded the Levites that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, saying, who was it given by? Moses. Moses gave the ceremonial law to the Levites. God spoke the word, the 10 Commandments. God wrote the word, the 10 Commandments. God gave the 10 Commandments. Moses spoke the word, wrote the word, gave the word. The ceremonial law. Very different, aren't they? Now remember, we're talking about Colossians 2:14, where it was nailed to the cross. This is stuff that we need to know, because someone's going to ask you, what do you believe in the 10 Commandments? Are nailed to the cross. A good question is always, which 2 commandments don't we have to keep anymore? Don't never ask which one, because you know they're going to say the Sabbath. Ask for 2 commandments you don't have to keep anymore. I haven't found anyone that can give me an answer for the 2nd commandment. Let's keep going. We want to make sure, 2 or 3. What did they address? Go over to Romans chapter 7 and verse 7. Romans chapter 7, verse 7. So what did the law actually deal with? Romans 7, verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? No. God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. Not only does it tell you which law it's talking about, it gives you an example. Thou shalt not covet. Which commandment's that one? 10. Do you want an easy way to remember the commandments? We'll do a quick lesson. You ready? 10 fingers. How many commandments do we have? Righto. 1 finger. How many gods do we have? Number 2, do we bow down to gods? Number 3, looks like a letter W. Do we take the Lord's name in vain? Words, yeah? Number 4, looks like a pillow. Rest on the Sabbath day. Number 5, we honour thy father and thy mother. Number 6, looks like a gun. Thou shalt not commit murder. Number 7, don't commit adultery. Or when you talk to kids, don't kiss the boys. Yeah. Number 8, looks like prison bars. Thou shalt not steal. Number 9, when you go to court, hand on the Bible, one up to God, don't bear false witness. And number 10, don't covet. Now, you know how easy that's how I learned to keep the 10 commandments, because I could never remember them. What was number 6 again? Yeah, you have fun with that. It's good. We teach the kids. So Romans 7:7, just to go over that again, was, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? What did the law address? The 10 commandments. That's what we wanted to know. The law addresses the 10 commandments. What about the ceremonial law? Come over to Hebrews. Now remember, who wrote the ceremonial law? Who spoke it? Moses. Who wrote it? Moses. Who gave it? Moses. What does it address? Hebrews chapter 9, verse 9 and 10. Hebrews 9, verse 9 and 10. Which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices. Which law deals with sacrifices? The moral 10 commandments or the ceremonial law? Interesting, isn't it? That could not make him that did the surface perfect as pertaining to the conscience. Could keeping the ceremonial law make you perfect? No. It's interesting. Which only stood in meats and drinks and divers washings, carnal ordinance imposed on them until the time of Reformation. The ceremonial law was there to show you what to do. It couldn't save you. That's what the difference was. It addressed the normal running of day-to-day life. Judgment and accountability. What about the law? Does it judge? James. It's that lovely little book. Do you remember James was the book that Martin Luther didn't like? I don't know why he didn't like it. James, chapter 2 and verse 10 and 12. James chapter 2 and verse 10 and 12. We're going to find out judgment and accountability. Are you judged on the ceremonial law? Are you judged on the 10 commandments? All right, let's find out. We're up to James chapter 2 and verse 10 and 12. For whosoever shall keep the whole law, yet offend in one point, is guilty of all. For he that said, do not commit adultery, also said, do not kill. What was the commandment for thou shalt not commit murder? Thou shalt not kill? Oh, 6. That's 6 fingers, isn't it? That's right, sorry. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not kill. Thou not act as a transgressor of the law. There is a difference between the 10 commandments and ceremonial law. What we've done is, we'll go to the ceremonial law. Let's do that one first. Judgment and accountability. Hebrews chapter 7. Let's find out if there's any difference. Hebrews is just the book before. Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 18 and 19. For there is verily a disannulling of the commandment, going before for the weakness of the unprofitableness thereof. For the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did, by the which we draw nigh unto God. Does the ceremonial law make you perfect? No. It guides you how to keep clean, how to come in for offerings, what to give. Have you ever studied the offerings? The wave offering, the sheath offering, the heave offering. And all through that, God is love. He says, if you can afford a bullock, bring a bullock. If you can't afford a bullock, bring a sheep. Can't afford a sheep, bring 2 turtle doves. If you can't afford a turtle dove, bring some flour. All the way through, God shows that He's love. It doesn't matter where you are, God is always there as love. And this is what this is showing. The accountability is you're responsible for your actions. We read a little while ago in the Sabbath school about the sins of the father passed on to the son for the 3rd and 4th generation. Were they the 10 commandment sins or were they habits? Habits. Has to be, because I can't pay for my brother's sins. He can't pay for mine. But I know I watch my kids and I cry because I see my kids do the same thing I did, and then I ring my mum up and say, Mum, I'm so sorry I did those. Because it's payback time. And the good thing is my daughters have got kids, and it's so good to see them. I don't know about middle children. Anyone a middle child? They're interesting, aren't they? My daughter has a child that is a spitting image. It is so fun to watch. It's just hilarious because all the payback of all the stress that I had, these fossil blonde tips were put in by my kids. I didn't have them before kids. So it's payback time. It's so funny to watch because she just carves up like my daughter did. But it's fun. But again, let's go back to this. So we're talking about a blessing or a burden. Is the law a blessing or a burden? So the moral law. Come over to James. Go to James again, chapter 1 and verse 5. So it's just to the right, the next book on. James chapter 5 and verse 25. Is it a blessing or a burden? James 1:25. But whosoever looketh unto the perfect law of liberty. Does that give it away? Whosoever looks at the perfect law of liberty. Perfect liberty. 10 commandments. Where were they found again? Exodus 20 and Deuteronomy 5. Remember those? It's in. We won't go there. So 1:25. But whosoever looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the word, this man shall be blessed in his deed. So not only do you hear it, but you do it. Because even the angels and the devil's angels, Satan's angels, know the word, but they don't do it. We need to be doers as not only as hearers. Come over, we're going to talk about the ceremonial law, Galatians. Come back again a little bit further, just after Corinthians, Galatians. Chapter, what have we got there? Chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. Blessing or burden? Galatians 5, verse 1 or 2. So we've talked about the 10 Commandments, the moral law of liberty, Decalogue. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. That's interesting. That's an interesting word, you know, bondage. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you. Which law talks about circumcision? Moral law? Ceremonial law? And does the ceremonial law profit you anything? Nothing. Nothing. See the difference? Are they established or done away with? Now, this is the part that got me. When I was accused of being a legalist, and they will accuse you, you need to have an answer. And I had nothing. So you sit there like a kangaroo in the headlights, and you run or it runs at you. And I did nothing because I had nothing to give back. This is a really good one. Come over to Romans chapter 3. Now, Romans is a really hard book to understand sometimes, but it's not too bad if you pick out bits of it and take your time. Romans chapter 3 and verse 31. So is it established or has it been done away with? Romans 3:31. Remember the accusation in Colossians 2:14? It's been nailed to the cross. It's been done away with. Romans 3:21. I apologise. Romans 3:31. Do we then make void the law through faith? Because I believe in God, I'm saved by grace. That's all I need to do, isn't it? I just need to have faith. I just need to love. That's all it is. God forbid, really? Yea, we establish the law. Not only do we have to believe the law and live by grace, because grace is the only thing that saves us. Don't ever think there's anything else. You're only saved by grace and grace alone. That's it. But this says it doesn't do away with the law. The law's still there. There's still consequences for your sins. Let's talk about the ceremonial law. Ephesians. Remember Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians? Ephesians chapter 2, verse 15. Ephesians 2, verse 15. Having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of the commandments contained in the... What are the ordinances? The offerings. You do this on this day. Have you read that? On the seventh day of the seventh month, you offer a bullock, and then Pentecost and Passover and the ordinances. It's talking about the ordinances. So when it says in 2:15, having abolished in the flesh, whose flesh? Jesus, when he died. Because what were the ceremonial laws leading to? What were all the sacrifices about? For God, to show you leading to God. What was the lamb would come in, the guy would have been, the father, the head of the house would have brought the lamb in. The lamb would have been with the family for 12 months. He would have been with the family. The kids would have been petting it, feeding it, giving it milk, playing with it. And he brings it in. He stands there in front of the priest. The priest has a jug. He then puts his hand on top of it. Do you want to know something really cool? You ever had those wow moments? You know when you walk into, this is going to be right out the left field, you ready? Stand in the sanctuary, you walk in. What's the first thing you run into? The burnt offering, the altar of burnt offering, yeah? Then the laver, holy place, most holy place. Where do they kill the animals? And I'll give you a hint, it's not in line. It's to the north. They go to the north to kill the animals. So the guy brings the lamb in, puts his hand on, confesses his sin, then he cuts its throat and watches its blood come out. What is that signifying? I caused Christ's death. My sins Jesus died for. Not someone else's, my sins. I can't say it's all you, it's me. So when we read there in Romans 3:31, I apologise, Ephesians 2:15, and it says, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of the commandments contained in the ordinance, for to make of himself twain one new man, so making peace. Are the ceremonial law abolished or established? They're done away with. Christ died. We don't need them anymore. Remember Romans 3:31. We need the law. It's been confirmed. I'll give you a hint. Today's sermon was called what? This is the wow moment. You ready? For me, this is what happened. Where were they placed? Come over to Deuteronomy chapter 10. This is when I was doing some study on this. It was the wow moment. I went, oh, very nice. Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 5. Where were the 10 commandments placed? And I turned to myself and came down from the mount. Who's speaking? Moses. And put the tables where? In the ark. He put them inside the ark, yeah? So there was in the ark was the 10 commandments. What else was in there? Aaron's rod. What was the other one? Little bowl of manna in the ark, yeah? Come over to Deuteronomy chapter 31. Let's find out where the ceremonial laws are put. 31 verse 26. Deuteronomy 31 verse 26. Take this book of the law and put it in the side of the ark. So the 10 commandments that Jesus established are in the ark, and above the 10 commandments are the mercy seat and the angels. On the side of the ark, which were done away with when Christ died, were the ceremonial laws. So when someone says to you in Colossians 2:14, oh, it's done away with, it was nailed to the cross, it's a few questions. One, which law are you talking about? Oh, well, there's got to be the 10 commandments. But then we don't need a mercy seat, because if they're done away with, why do we need Christ dying? Christ could have come and said, oh, yeah, that's okay, I've finished. Ceremonial laws are done away with. They're finished. They're outside. They lead us to God. They show us what the offerings were for, what the ordinance were for, why we do these things, why that poor lamb, why the 2 pigeons, why the bullock, why all this bloodshed? Because it tells us that Christ is coming to do the same thing. Remember in the New Testament we read about Jesus at 12 years old, went to the Passover and suddenly realised his role. At 12 years old, realised what his future was going to be. But again, beautiful. Come over to Matthew chapter 5. This one is very interesting because it's a verse that people don't often want to answer when you talk about the 10 commandments being done away with. Matthew 5, verse 17 and 18. Think not that I come... Who's speaking? Think why? How do we know it's Jesus? It's in red. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to, yes, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and past, not one jot, not one tittle, which is, one of them, I can't remember which one it was. One's a little cross on the T and one's a little dot on the I. But one jot or tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. It's interesting. If the commandments were done away with at the cross, why do I need to keep them? Why can't I? What was number 2 again? What was that again? Oh, I can bow down to other gods, yeah? Can't I, what was number 3? Take the Lord's name in vain? I don't have to keep the Sabbath. I certainly don't have to obey mum and dad. Can I kiss all the girls? Can I steal? Can I lie? Can I covet? Brother Richard, you have a really good, I like your outfit. It's very nice, very traditional, cultural. I want that. Give it to me. Why? The 10 Commandments are done away with. I heard a pastor one day, he said, it was interesting, he was having this debate. They just had this big collection, had this debate with the pastor after, and they were talking about it. He said, oh, the 10 Commandments are done away with. And he says, oh, really? Okay, so they're done away with. Beautiful. So he walked over, picked up all the offering bags and says, well, I'm off. He said, you mean you're off? He said, well, you said they've done away with. I can steal. I'm okay to steal now. They're not done away with because God is love. God said there, to one, not one jot or tittle, not one part of the law will be done away with. We need to know this stuff and we're losing it. 1 Peter 3:15, that young lady read it so well. You must be able to give a reason for your belief. You must be able to answer. And that's what this is all about. Mrs. White, can you guys see that all right? Can you read it? It was a little bit hard to work out. The law of God, its very nature is unchangeable. It is a revelation of the will of the character of the author. The 10 Commandments are God's character. Do you know why? Exodus 20, verse 1 and 2. And God spoke these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of bondage. I love you so much, I'm going to give you these few rules that will make life so easy. You just have to keep them. I love you so much. That was from the Great Controversy. Christ came to the earth to maintain and exalt the divine law, by himself suffering the penalty. Transgression of the law is sin. And what is sin worthy of? Death. Remember that little lamb that man brought out of the family, the kids are crying about, and they cut its throat and collect the blood? That's not fun. That hurts. That's what the 10 Commandments are about, to show us that God loves us. He loves you so much. You only have to have one God. You have to be like the heathen nation and have hundreds. You don't have to take your child and put them in the hands of Dagon, the steel statue they've heated up to white hot, and watch your child die. I love you so much. You only have to have me. That's it. And if you do these things, you'll live happily ever after. If you don't steal from your neighbour, you don't covet your neighbour, you don't kiss your neighbour's wife or husband, or life will be good. Life is so good. The ceremonial law of offerings and sacrifices all pointed to God. They ceased at his death of Christ. The 10 Commandments didn't cease. So when we say Jesus reaching down, and I was very blessed. I got this drawn up from a friend, and that's not Peter, that's me. God spoke these words, said, I am the Lord thy God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of bondage. I love you so much, I'm here for you. That's God. That's the 10 Commandments. He died to keep the 10 Commandments. When someone says to you the 10 Commandments were nailed to the cross, what are the 10 Commandments written on? Stone. Can you nail stone? Because it shatters. But God is love. That's love. That's my God. When we go out shortly, we're going to close with a hymn, but we've asked the praise team. It was a little bit late notice, and I take full responsibility. The praise team are going to sing Amazing Grace, but we're going to sing a little bit differently. We're going to sing Amazing Grace to a different tune. So please enjoy it. It is a beautiful tune. It's still a hymn, but it's telling us about God, because God is amazing. God is love. Thank you.